Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing details. Today, we're discussing a model launched back in 2019, the most unconventionally shaped watch ever launched by Laurent Ferrier of Geneva. This is the Bridge One in rose gold. So the watch references the span of the Passerelle de Lille, a bridge in Geneva that Laurent Ferrier remembers fondly from his childhood. So the watch perhaps a little bit more organically beautiful than the bridge itself, but there is a lot of architectural beauty here. They share that in common. So the case is 34.1 millimeters across if you measure its outermost extremity, which is actually the lug tip. So side to side at either end, that is the broadest span across the wrist. The watch has a long profile that measures 47.7 millimeters from lug tip to lug tip, and it is 12.3 millimeters thick with a broad 24 millimeter spacing between the lugs. We'll throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, and it continues the long-running shaped watch tradition of wearing a bit larger than its rated size. So normally you'd say 47.7 across the wrist. That's going to be a fairly compact watch, but the way this one wears, it gives it more presence, but also a little bit more apparent size. So I recommend this for wrists that are 15 centimeters circumference or larger. That said, it is nicely sloped, and the teardrop profile lugs wrap nicely around the edge of my wrist. It's also fairly thin. Although it looks sheer in profile, it is just over 12 millimeters, which means it can slip easily underneath a dress cuff. The watch features a lovely honey-colored, large rectangular scale alligator leather with a lightly contrasting white stitch. You can see there's a bit of bolstering to give it volume. We have a folded edge, and then we have suede on the underside, and it is a brand new Laurent Ferrier factory strap. You can see that along with the buckle, which is poetic in its own way, featuring lovely undulations, creases, and curves. It's anything but a default design. Now, the case is remarkably dished on each side. There is an extraordinary level of tumble home from the tips of the lugs to the tip of the bezel. It arcs up and in. We have black polishing on each side, creating remarkable play of light across the surface, and a vintage-inspired onion-style crown with a sharp knurling laterally and then a polished outer face. You can see that this is no mean sapphire crystal. Being cambered and faceted, it must be an absolute bear to manufacture this and then achieve the watch's 30-meter rated water resistance, because shaped sapphires tend to be the most difficult to make water resistant. Round is the easiest. Here we have a couple of sharp edges where two beveled sides meet. This is a very complex machining, this piece of sapphire, and assembling it into a finished watch, more complex still. The dial is a vitreous enamel. You can see émail. It is a enamel dial grand faux, so on a gold base, vitreous or glass-based paint is applied and fired up to 20 times at over 800 degrees Celsius, and that's how we get this lovely white dial. We have a combination of indices and Roman numerals. Both are included with white gold polished assegai or spear-shaped hands at center. The advantage of enamel is that, yes, it's lovely, it's glossy, gleaming, it has the look of wet paint, but it's also enduring, as it won't tarnish, stain, or oxidize. It is effectively an ageless material. Grand faux is artisanal, low volume, and difficult to achieve. The rejection rate for these dials is very high, so having it here in such immaculate form and with a complex shape is all the more special. You can see there's a little bit of a recess between the lugs. We have a portion of the case down at 6 o'clock and at 12 o'clock that dips below the hoods of the lugs, giving further definition to the case from the top. Let's check it out from the bottom. This is a Laurent Ferrier movement. It is the caliber 107. So Laurent Ferrier, out of Geneva, does rely on suppliers for components like dials and cases and movements, but it's involved in the design process, the process of speccing the movements and cases, and then the assembly, regulation, and finishing. And finishing is what Laurent Ferrier does best. It is the house specialty. We may as well fire this one up. The company, founded by watchmaker Laurent Ferrier and his son, builds on his decades of experience for, among others, Patek Philippe. He has a very traditional aesthetic sensibility. Classical beauty is what he prefers, so we get it in the case as well as the movement. And because everything is designed with a view to a final design rather than bought randomly and assembled as possible, we have a movement that is perfectly sized and shaped for the case. Laurent Ferrier may be an établisseur, but it is one of the finest, really in the tradition of companies like, well, Vacheron Constantin, also of Geneva, which was not a manufacturer until the 21st century. The movement is unique to the model. Manual wind, there's an extravagant black polished click spring. You can see it right there atop the ratchet wheel, which sits atop the barrel. That is an old school Geneva feature. It is completely mirror polished. We have lovely, luminous, abrasive wheel-laid Côte de Genève across bridges that include a nickel anthracite coating that I believe to be either ruthenium or dark rhodium. We have mirrored bevels that are a mile wide, and this is really something that Laurent Ferrier does better than just about anyone except Romain Gaultier. You could see that the interior angles are present and correct where bevels meet. They don't short you those, and the bevels are wide, light, and luminous, with every indication of having been finished manually. Taking a quick look at the base plate, you can see there's engine turning underneath the escapement and the balance wheel. We have black polished screws with chamfered slots and circumference. And you will appreciate the small details, little things that are done to improve efficiency and reduce the mass of the total system. Take a look at the anchor and the escape wheel, and you can see these are LIGA-formed nickel phosphorus components that have been skeletonized by sort of a computerized galvanic lithography. That's how you can achieve these incredibly light and intricate skeletonized components. That's done using LIGA. We have a free-sprung balance that beats sway at 21,600 vibrations per hour, and free-sprung is what you want to see. That's how you can adjust a watch nice and precisely and be sure that the timing won't change. Having a mobile index means the index can shift and change the timing of the watch. When all of the timing changes are done using bolts in the balance, you know that it's going to be shock tolerant, and the 6-position adjustment is going to be enduring. And 6-position adjustment is important. Even chronometers tend only to be adjusted in 5 positions. 6 positions, crown left, crown right, crown up, crown down, dial down, gives the deviation and inaccuracy no place in which to hide. You can see that the stud holder has been black polished. It is a 21 joule movement, and all of this is water resistant down to 30 meters, standard dress watch fare. Finish and aesthetics. Uncompromising in both regards. That is truly what defines Laurent Ferrier. And this is one of the company's scarcest models. They still make under 200 watches a year, or at least until very recently they did. A few more now with the sport models. But compared to F.P. Journe and his 900 pieces, or Richard Mille with his 5,000 plus per year, this remains one of the most exclusive and desirable independents in the business. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.